You know, if the late, great Robin Williams was sitting here, he might take this candy cane, or looks like a candy cane, doesn't it? And he might turn it around and say, oh, wait a minute, this is a J. That's not legal here. I mean, this is not Colorado or Oregon. That's not legal here. That's what's called improv. Maybe not the greatest example of improv. And the question on the floor for this episode is, does improv improve your life? Stick around and you'll find out. I'm Bruce Apar, and you're watching Hudson Valley WXYZ with Bruce the Blog. Hudson Valley WXYZ with Bruce the Blog is seen wherever you have a screen, really. And we like to feature outstanding citizens who are making unique contributions to our quality of life. And we also explore ideas and topics and issues that are important to all of us. And we thank Chase Media Group and its CEO, Carla Chase, and Chief Strategy Officer, Frank J. Rich, for producing the show, which you can catch all the episodes, in fact, on YouTube by going to youtube.com and by searching for Townlink TV or for Hudson Valley WXYZ or even for Bruce the Blog. And I'm really excited to have as a guest somebody that I just recently got to know, Lynn Laurie Sylvan. Welcome, Lynn Laurie.
Thank you.
And we both share a passion for acting, although, make no mistake, she is a lot more experienced and accomplished than I am, so I don't want to compare myself to her. But Lynn Laurie is an actor and also owns an acting studio, right, that you specialize or focus on improv in particular, and that's Veracity Actors Studio, and you can go to veracityactorsstudio.com, and I know our ACE director, Richard Redmond, always will put up on the screen the name of the website, but it's veracityactorsstudio.com. So Lynn Laurie, when we met, which actually wasn't that long ago at the Manhattanville Women's Leadership event, which was a nice event, if I'm not mistaken, you had told me that you hail from New England, right?
Yes.
From where?
From Concord,
Concord, Mass. Yeah. The historic Concord,
Very.
Mass. Right. Yeah. Paul Revere.
Lots of cannons.
Right. In fact, there was a miniseries recently that I was watching.
Filmed in Concord?
That was all about, the American Revolution and that type of thing. When was it, like at what age or what point of your life did you become serious, let's say, about acting?
It was pretty recently. It was about 6 years ago.
Yeah, sort of like me. Yeah.
My daughter was acting, and I remember dropping her off, and we were late. And this other woman was rushing out of the acting building, and I said to her, oh my God, my daughter's going to be late for her own funeral. I can't stand it when she's always late. And then we started talking, and she was acting in the Crucible, in the Black Box Theater at this place. And I said, gosh, I saw this sign for Rick Lombardo's class. I'm thinking about taking it, but it says advanced actors only. And I acted a little in college, but then I dropped it. And she goes, just do it. And so I took his class. It was a 7-week class, and the first 6 weeks, I was horrible. Every week, horrible. Every week the teacher was looking at me like, oh my God. And then something clicked the 7th week, and I was on fire, and my teacher, his jaw dropped, and he's like, wow,
So-
okay. And so
so
then
it's something that's
it bit the bug.
Right, but it's also something, I mean, I've found this. I'm a believer, you might say, that with some people, it's always been there, right? And it just hasn't come
Yeah.
out yet. But my journalistic reflex always requires that I explain for the audience. Like you mentioned, The Crucible, which is by one of the giants of American theater, Arthur Miller, and is about, of course, the Salem witch trials. And just explain quickly what black box theater means.
Black box theater is a very small theater, usually for 60 people or so, to 60 audience members,
Right.
and it's a really nice atmosphere to work in.
Right, and usually, I don't. Not that this is incontrovertible part of the definition, but I mean, often there's no proscenium stage. It's like you're performing even maybe on the same level as the audience, right?
Sometimes the same level,
depending
or
on the
sometimes
space.
just a little
riser,
riser,
yeah,
but
right,
it's very intimate and nice.
right.
Yeah.
And of course, in a lot of communities, like a lot of towns around here, where in the Hudson Valley, fortunately, community theater is very popular, and a lot of people. And it's just a matter of practicality that
Right,
the
then
spaces
yeah.
available are going to be black box scale, right?
And it's actually easier to act. I mean, it's easier to act the way I like to act, which is very small,
yeah.
in a black box theater.
Right.
Because you don't have to be big and, make sure the people all the way in the last row of the theater
Right.
can hear you, see you.
No, I mean, we want to obviously talk about your improv studio, which is in Tarrytown,
Mm-hmm.
but that was too good of a segue for me to forego. So you were telling me before that you've been trying, and you have been doing screen acting, right, and films and stuff, and the difference between theater acting, live theater acting, and screen acting, and you mentioned big, and in theater, obviously, you have to be somewhat big, right?
Right.
And you said you don't like that, and you actually feel that almost, in a sense, corrupts your screen acting technique.
I do, actually. I mean, when I was living in Boston, in order to start being called in for feature films, when I lived in Boston, I was called in 5 or 6 years, I was called in for like 10 feature films for
Wow.
parts.
Wow.
And I was called in for one that was for the town that was actually rewritten for a much younger person. I was going to play Jeremy Renner's sister
Oh, wow.
in The Town, but it got recast,
And
and
what
Blake
mo- what
Lively
movie?
got that. The Town.
The name of the movie? Oh, The Town.
The Town,
right.
yeah. So anyway, but
With Ben Affleck.
Ben
yeah,
Affleck
right,
and Jeremy
right,
Renner.
right.
So basically, yeah, I mean, to get cast in Boston, you need to do theater. They want to see theater credits. So I did do a bunch of theater in Boston
Get cast for movie shoots.
Yes, yeah. But in New York, it's
Well,
not
no,
quite like that,
I've been
right?
told the opposite in New York. I've been told by a casting director, don't even put your theater a reel on like your profile, whether it's casting networks or backstage, whatever. She told me not to do that.
Yeah, because they just want someone who's real and conversational and
Right.
believable.
Right.
It's all about believability,
Right.
and that's why I named my actor studio Veracity Actor
as in,
Studio,
right.
because one of the
Truthful.
notes I get all the time is that I'm extremely believable.
Right.
And that is a plus.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
interesting because I get the same kind of feedback, right? They're
Yeah.
just authentic.
Yeah,
right,
and
right.
that's really good. That's
Yes,
a good
right,
starting point.
Right, right.
So,
Yeah, so it's interesting because, again, not to, I'd like to get to your point myself, but it seems like we've had similar motivation to get into this and similar feedback in that respect. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Now, you also told me when we were talking about how I was introducing you, and I used the apparently forbidden word in your vocabulary, which is actress.
Yes. Well, actually.
So seriously, I mean, an actor doesn't have a specific gender. An actor is a male or a female, but obviously, actress is part of the general
Yeah.
lexicon. Why don't you like that word?
Well, first I want to tell you a quick story. And then
Sure,
I'll
go
explain.
ahead. We have time.
I was on a movie shoot. I shot an independent film recently it's not finished yet, called The Congressman.
Okay.
And I had a supporting role opposite Treat Williams.
Oh, great! Wow.
So I was up in Maine shooting for like a week, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
got to travel around Mohegan Island and stuff.
Right.
But anyway, I worked together with Treat, and we worked together very well. It was very simpatico. And afterwards, he said, "Oh my God, you're a terrific actress." And I had to bite my tongue,
Because he
and
said
to not
well,
say,
because
"Actually,
he
I'm
said
a
the
terrific, I'm a
the
terrific
word,
actor."
so-
Yeah, because I kept my mouth shut. I later wrote him a card telling him I'm actually a terrific actor. But anyway, he never wrote back. That's
Well,
probably why.
you don't want to trick treat, you know.
But yeah, but the reason is actress is a diminutive. Like in every language, I speak like 5 or 6 languages. Every language has a way to make diminutive, like ito,
Yes.
or in Greek it's aki. And so S is the way to make a diminutive in English. And I'm not a little actor, I'm a big actor. And so I'm an actor.
Okay, no,
that's why.
And also that shows a lot of confidence and a lot of pride.
Yeah, and it also sort of, when I hear the word actress, you think of like porn actresses or just yuck. Yeah,
I can appreciate what you're saying, but
I'm serious.
But then how do you feel? And I'm being serious when I ask this question. I'm not trying to be facetious, but to your point about the suffix, what about words like seamstress? I won't mention mistress, but what about
right.
Seriously, what about seamstress? I mean, that's the same suffix used for the same reason.
Well,
right?
I mean, tailor.
Right.
A tailor can be a man or a woman.
There's no male seamster, is there?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think it's just, I just like a generic word. And actually, in the acting community, most actors my age or younger who are women, want to be called actors. So
the point being that is more serious.
Totally,
it's
and
serious designation.
And actually, like for the SAG actor awards, it says male actor,
right,
female actor.
Right.
They don't use the word actress anymore.
Right.
It's
so you think that's a trend in
totally.
professional ranks?
Totally,
Yeah.
it's only the older
interesting
people that use actress.
Right.
Yeah, generally.
Well, I guess you might say that as of this moment, I don't know any actresses.
There you go.
I only know male actors and female actors.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. No.
Just actor.
I love words, so and I have a great respect for words, and so I'm down with that. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And by the way, which 6 languages do you speak?
Let's see. I speak English.
Right. Yes, I noticed.
Yeah, okay.
I noticed that.
French, Spanish, Italian, Greek. Those are my good languages.
Wow.
And then I speak some Arabic, very broken.
Wow.
And a little bit of Yoruba, and what else?
What is that one?
Yoruba from Nigeria, and a little bit of German.
Wow.
So that's 8, but 5 strong ones.
And how did that happen?
I got on a plane. I got on a plane and flew different places and worked in different countries.
But again, as we were saying about, there's a certain amount of innate skill for acting. I mean, I think that's the same, and I think a lot of people believe that's the same, right, with being multilingual, that not everybody can just necessarily learn to be fluent in a lot of languages.
Maybe,
right?
but I had the same experience with languages as I did with acting.
Okay.
So remember I told you the first 6 classes, I was not just bad, I was horrendous at acting. Like, so bad.
You're not sandbagging me, are you?
No.
Really?
I was horrendous, and people were like...
But do you think that, or was that the
feedback
feedback
you got? No, I could feel it.
Oh, really?
I felt fake.
Right.
I felt out of my body. I felt like I was above my body directing myself. I just felt really uncomfortable.
Right. Okay, I can understand that.
And then the last class, then it just clicked, and I was in my body, and I was there, and I was in a dungeon, and it was great.
Oh, okay.
Because it was actually from the Crucible. So,
right.
But anyway, my point is language. I studied French for 3 years, and at the end of 3 years, I didn't know what the word nous meant. Nous means we.
Okay.
N-O-U-S. Nous means we. So I clearly had some problems learning a language as well.
Okay.
And then I met with this woman for tea, and I understood that the whole reason to speak another language is to delve into the mind of someone else and communicate with them.
Right.
And we started speaking in French, and I wasn't worried about je, tu, il, elle, nous.
Right.
I wasn't thinking about all that. I was just thinking I wanted to ask her questions in French, and boom. So yeah. It's all about communication for me.
But it occurs to me as you're describing your experience or your arc with becoming multilingual or becoming an actor that you're like a one-person tortoise and hare. You know what I mean? It's sort of you go slow and they go whoom.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, within a year of acting, then I started getting called in for feature films.
Yeah, which is
unusual.
Highly. That's an understatement to say it's unusual. It's almost unheard of.
Yeah.
But not only that, so you made the leap, or you made this quantum progress in your acting. But not only that, but then you started teaching other people, which is a whole other dimension. I mean, because obviously to be proficient at something as a practitioner is one thing. To be able to effectively teach other people is a whole other thing.
Right.
So,
And
so what drove you? Or what made you? Did somebody say to you, you should teach?
actually, someone said the opposite.
You shouldn't teach.
Yes.
Really?
And someone said to me, well, you know, you have some credits and stuff, but I don't think you should teach because what do you have to teach?
And I'll
people?
guess that's not one of your students.
No,
Who
no.
didn't become one of your
And so
students.
then I was basically like, screw you, I'm going to go teach right away. I was actually planning to like wait 6 months. This was in Massachusetts. And then I said, no, I'm going to do this now. And so I contacted the community ed place and I said, I have a proposal. And right away they took it and I started teaching.
Oh, so you could thank that person for
Exactly. They
trying to
pushed
discourage you.
negative, negative
Right.
reinforcement. So
Right.
yeah, that's how I started teaching, and it went really well
Right.
away because I have a lot of teaching experience in other fields.
Okay, right.
I'm a certified soccer coach. I was a holistic personal trainer for 15 years. I taught stilt walking and stilt dancing.
Wow.
What else have I taught? English as a second language. I've done a lot of teaching, so
Yeah.
it's natural.
Right.
Yeah.
And I could tell from now that we have gotten to know each other, that you have a very nice demeanor, and you're very easy to talk to. You know, and I could see you're very considerate of people and of, to use your word, the acting word from before, and of keeping them safe in the learning experience, right?
And that's actually based upon some of my experiences in college, because I had some I was acting in college, and I had some good experiences, but I also had some bad experiences with directors that didn't keep me safe.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I stopped.
And we should just mention for now, because I want to go off into a slightly different area of conversation, but we should mention that what you mean in the acting context of keeping a performer safe is that the director shouldn't make the performer feel inadequate or insult them or humiliate them in front of other people. Or
Right.
all
Or
those
even
things,
even a simple thing like saying, "Oh, Bruce, that was great. Do that again." That is also verboten.
Real?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Because
As you know, as we know as actors, that it's not that simple.
right.
It's not like you just bottled it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to. It's not like you recorded what you just did. You're going to play it back.
Right.
Yeah.
So even things like that, not putting undue pressure on the actor, letting them reveal themselves and feel safe.
Right.
And
Right. I was going to say, of course, the standard response, right, if directors do it again, it's like, do what again? Right?
Yeah.
Like what?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I did it. It doesn't mean that,
Yeah.
you don't step outside yourself.
It's actually much more useful for directors to say, we're going to get a slightly different angle on this. Let's do it again.
Right.
Because that's much less pressure on me. I'm thinking, oh, it's just the camera.
But they just mean a take. Let's do another take or
yeah.
Right.
Let's
or an
just
angle.
do it again.
Right.
You know, they might be lying to me a little and saying they needed another little slightly different angle, or different camera work.
Right.
But that makes me feel safer because I'm not thinking, oh, what I just did wasn't good.
Right.
It's just like open, okay, good, let's try it this way, or pull back a little, or what, just
Right, exactly.
gentle,
Yes.
nice,
Right.
No yelling.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as the Veracity Actor Studio that you have in Tarrytown, and you teach improv there, it's not necessarily improv just for people who are actors or want to be actors. It's for people from all walks of life.
It's actually, I only have a few actors in my classes, actually.
Okay.
It's mostly people who want to communicate better for business, who want to do better business presentations, who want to feel more at ease talking to people.
Right.
People who are very shy, people who just want to have fun. I mean, it's really, really fun. After the class, people are like hyped up. They're like, ha!
Right.
It's fun, and it's joyful, you laugh, and people want to have fun.
And how do these people who are not within the acting community in this area, how do they hear about the class?
Well, one of the places, I teach in two places, TTUMC Arts Center in Tarrytown, and I also teach at Water Cooler. Water Cooler has a dedicated MailChimp list that's huge, and so newsletters get sent out reminding people about my class, but I also flyer a little bit too.
Right. And going back to the corporate training aspect of improv, like you mentioned presentation skills, and but what about a presentation is formal. Somebody will prepare, whether it's the dreaded PowerPoint presentation or now it's SlideShare. But what about just being in a so-called brainstorming session, or in a conference room? And what happens in those cases is, and this is interesting. I recently read, I think it was an article that was from Harvard Business Review, that basically shattered the myth of how brainstorming sessions are productive. And they were saying, they were bringing up reasons why it can actually be the opposite, that it might basically intimidate somebody who has great ideas, and they're in a group of people and they're hearing other people and go, oh no, maybe my idea isn't so great.
It shuts out the quietest people.
Right.
Who could be the most creative.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you have other examples they were using about it, and then how other people will grandstand, and that they're not always such great. But can improv improve somebody's performance in that kind of a business setting?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I would say no.
Okay.
I think it's actually I have a few competitors who also do corporate training using improv, and some of them advertise it, say, oh, it can increase creativity. I believe that every person, based on sort of how they were raised, how much they played when they were little. Did they play with dolls? Did they play with puppets? I mean, did they have a TV when they were growing up, or did they not watch any TV? Were they outside? That builds your creativity and your brain power.
Right.
So you have that inside of you. Maybe improv helps let it out a little bit, but it's there already. I don't believe improv builds that.
Well, no, it's interesting.
I really don't.
You know that, well, I remember just very recently I sent this to you, but there's something called, TED, about TED?
Yeah, TED Talks, yeah.
Right, TED Talks, which in the last, 10, 15 years have become a very justifiable phenomenon, because it was a brilliant idea, very well executed. And just for people who may not be familiar with TED, it's not actually named after somebody called TED. It's
technology.
No, it's Technology, Entertainment, Design is
right.
the original acronym, and now they just call it TED. But I think their tagline is something like "Ideas worth spreading" or something.
Right.
Ideas worth spreading or worth sharing, and they get all kinds of really interesting people giving these talks. And now it's viral. You could go online, and there's a TED website and podcasts that I love to listen to. And so one of the podcasts, which are broadcast on NPR, WNYC in this area, FM or AM, they had this show, and I knew you were going to be on, and I said, wow, this is great timing, where they had a series actually on play. It was called Press Play, and how important play is for humans.
Yeah.
I mean, on a serious level, it's important for us. And then they interviewed this man, Dr. Stuart Brown, who is the founder of the National Institute for Play in California. And to the point you were just making, for one thing, he says the opposite of play is not work, it's depression.
Yeah.
But the other point, that the example they used, and I remember this all too well from many years ago, one of the worst and most horrific mass murders up until Newtown was Charles Whitman in the University of Texas Tower, where he went up there. He was, a former military man who unfortunately went haywire. He went up to the top of the tower, the University of Texas, and started sniping and killing people. He killed, I forget, 16 people. And this doctor, Stuart Brown, did research on him, and this is not just him, this is a pattern that a lot of serial murderers, they had no play in their childhood. He said that is a very consistent theme.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think we all have that creativity in us.
Right.
But being given permission to play.
Right, yes.
That's all we need.
Right.
That's all anyone needs. I've worked with business groups. I work with a group of business people. Everyone's in tight suits and they're sort of uncomfortable to start, but once I give them permission, they relax.
Right.
And they have fun.
Yes.
It's fun.
Right.
And we all need permission to play. Because life's too short. It
No,
doesn't have to be all serious all the time.
But I also thought of you, I think it was part of the same NPR segment on Play, where they were saying, what is the point of improv? It has no point And that is the point, that it doesn't need to have a point, that not everything needs to be like that.
Right.
That there is no point to it.
Yeah, well, I think there
Right.
is a point to it. I mean, I think improv is very healing.
Right.
Because when we do something called a premise, so a premise, and often the classmates in the class premise. So
Right.
let's say we were scene partners and the
Yeah.
classmates premise us. They tell us who we are to each other, very simply, simple premise.
Right.
Oh, I think your telephone's ringing.
No.
It's improv, hello.
Oh, yeah, right, that's okay. Yeah. It's-
So basically we could be brother and sister, but
Right.
I can be the brother.
right.
You can be the sister.
Right.
And it's incredibly healing and freeing to be a different gender.
Right.
Or to
Yes.
have a different sexuality. Sometimes I had a scene the other day where someone was a wedding cake planner, and I was a gay man ordering a wedding cake. And the wedding cake planner was fine with the two people on top, the two grooms on top of the cake, but he drew the line at having the two grooms wearing Jerry Garcia like tie-dye shirts. He's like, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry. So, you know, it's very freeing and healing, and you can make a joke of stuff that's happening in Indiana or whatever. It's healing
Right, yes,
to
right.
joke about stuff like this because it's painful.
Right, yes,
The stuff
right.
that's happening in Indiana is painful.
Yes, right.
You know, telling people they're less than.
Less than you are,
And
yeah.
so
right.
to joke about it is healing.
Yeah, right. So let's quickly, because we have I think we have a couple of minutes, but not a lot of time, to do some play.
Okay.
You were mentioning the gibberish.
Yeah, so let's
exercise,
So gibberish is expert in translator. You can be an expert. What would you like to be an expert at?
An expert in tablets.
In tablets.
Tablets,
But
yes.
how about something more
Okay.
physical? How about an
Yeah.
expert? How about you're a lion dentist? You're an expert lion dentist.
Lion dentist.
Yeah, you're a dentist for lions.
For lions,
Yes,
okay.
So,
That's
so
like
I'm going to
something
turn
like
this way.
a
I'm going to be
Androcles
the
in the lion.
interpreter. So start talking.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Leo Leone, and I am a lion dentist. And I'm not that brave. I am very brave, but the lions are braver.
What's that? Yeah.
And yes, the lions are sedated usually. Why don't you open up the lion's mouth with your hands? I don't use my hands because I don't want them bitten, so I use a piece of machinery.
Right. Okay, so we have to start to wrap it up, but the point to that particular improv exercise, now I've done it a couple of times, but doing the gibberish is not easy either.
It's harder,
And,
yeah.
and for some reason, who knows why, it's just some kind of, I don't know if it's biological or whatever you'd call it, but it comes out sounding somehow like an Asian dialect. I don't know.
Most of my
Yeah.
students, I'd say 80%, it winds up sounding like an
Yeah.
Asian dialect. Perhaps that's because Asia is so far away from us, so to us that sounds the most foreign.
Yeah, I guess maybe, yeah.
Whereas something closer like Mexico's right near us, so and Canada is French, so
Yeah,
that
so
doesn't
maybe.
sound as foreign, but
Right.
it's because it's far away.
And when you do gibberish, can it be a foreign language? Or that
No,
you can't.
No, I
you
have
can't
a
do
lot
that.
of students that speak other languages.
You can't do that,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Anyhow, this has been a great session, Lynn Laurie, and I know we'll be in touch with each other a lot.
Yeah.
And
I hope you come to
we have a lot in
Improv.
common. I know, I do.
Monday night.
I want to. No, I do
Or
plan
Saturday
to come
morning.
to Improv, and I want to thank him. I'm still speaking gibberish. it's like addictive. I want to thank Lynn Laurie Sylvan of Veracity Actors Studio and an actor on the way up, an emerging actor, and good luck to that. Break a leg.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you for watching Hudson Valley WXYZ with Bruce the Blog. And remember, when Bruce the Blog listens, people talk. Thank you.